So I guess we get round 2 with now noticeably balding John 5 clone. And I say that because I've noticed that he is balding. Maybe that's one of the reasons he's so bent out of shape about life.
We're going to show you how it's possible for the soul to exist, and without any appeal to faith or miracles, but by utilizing nothing but logic, reason, and mathematics.
That's a pretty profound and provocative statement. But I can rest assured that it's full of shit, because not once during the 17-minute long duration of this video will you ever see a human soul. Oh, spoiler alert, I guess. Moving along. Oh, and wait a minute. Why do you keep saying we? Oh, sorry. I forgot. It's an appeal to false equivalence. You see, you want your organization to be, in appearance, larger than what it really is. So when a bunch of people who don't employ critical thinking skills whatsoever throw their money, which in this case is their allowance, because in your case, the majority of your followers are just teens in the rebellious, edgy phase of wanting to find something to believe in when they reject religion and you come along to swoop them up like a vulture, they'll think that their money is going to a legitimate, actual organization with a real infrastructure behind it, not some noticeably balding John 5 clone scamming a bunch of kids for their money with a bunch of floaty and flowery language that at the end of the day means fucking nothing and proves fucking nothing. Thus, we're. Not really, it's just you. Hyperionism. Nice logo. I wonder how much in donations that cost you to have somebody make for you.
Hyperionism absolutely rejects faith, miracles, and an external God.
Well, of course it does. It doesn't need more of stuff it already contains. Faith. Funny you say that it rejects faith, because a philosophy this ridiculous would require zealotous, absolute blind faith for anybody to take seriously. You see, the majority of your detractors are nerds like me who have studied in depth disciplines like mathematics, science, and philosophy. And that is how we're able to completely tear apart the unbelievable, inadequate failings of this belief system, which you handle like a religion. The people swallowing all of this and taking it completely at face value are employing utter blind faith in the idea that it's true by not looking and doing any research into what it is that you're talking about. So faith is pretty relevant in Hyperionism because it is a required tenet of being able to take it seriously. Critical thinking is not. As far as miracles and external God is concerned, miracles owe it up to the Hyperionist philosophy, and external God replaced in the form of internal God in the form of you, a self-admitted cult leader. Now, I know you wanted me to take that comment about your whole organization being a cult as kind of a satire, and believe it or not, I would have been willing to do so. I actually would have been willing to think that was kind of a clever joke, and would have been able to accept the fact from that point forward that this was a giant satire playing on new agey, weird, independent religions. What fucks it up is that you accept money for this. Kind of throws the idea of this being a joke right out the window because you are accepting people's money under false pretenses for this, which is fucked up.
We are concerned with purely rational and mathematical truth.
That remains to be seen because there's not much rationale that comes out of these videos. They don't prove anything, to be sure, and all you do is misrepresent and misinterpret mathematical formulas and then label them dumb shit like the soul equation, whereas you're the only person in the world calling Euler's formula the soul equation. Nobody else but you has ever called it that.
We don't pick and choose what we want to be true.
Yes, you do, and that's one of the reasons you're a huge proponent of using only deductive reasoning in your philosophical system. Inductive reasoning includes the possibility that your theories might not be 100% accurate, that there's always that probability something like the black swan theory will come along and completely fuck that up, meaning you have to start from the beginning again and rephrase how things have occurred based on a system of patterns and whatnot to prove that, well, okay, this theory functions now within this set of logic. Deduction deals within absolute black and whites, meaning you can vet what you don't want to be true and vet what you want to be true up front. Pick and choose. Motherfucker, you are foraging what you want to be true, not just picking. Motherfucking foraging.
We understand reality as it is in itself, objectively as it truly is.
What in the fuck is that supposed to mean? That is a really redundant way of saying we understand reality as we see it. There's no reason for the rest of that language because it didn't say anything.
Remember to always keep an open mind and examine everything with reason, regardless of your personal beliefs, opinions, or biases.
That's not an open mind. That's just open up your mind and let me fill it with bullshit as if it were a sponge. Soak it all up and remove any of your own personal doubts about what it is that I'm saying. That's indoctrination, not being open-minded. How can you be so hard against religion when you employ the exact same tactics that hardcore religious fundamentalists employ to get people to believe their bullshit?
We will now show how...
This way he's talking is amusing. We will now show. Coming up next. Next on Fox Kids.
The existence of the mind, the soul, is possible.
I think that we have known the mind exists for kind of a long fucking time, dude. Since, like, what? Plato's time? Since, like, ever? When human beings realized we have a self-reflective consciousness? What the fuck? I guess the mind is just one of those things that's a revelation to you too. As I said in my previous video, or at least I hope I did, and not just in a previous take of my previous video, because I made quite a few. Wait until you discover Stephen Hawking's self-creating universe theory. Your head will explode. Or at least the rest of your hair will fall out more steadily.
An in-depth explanation would take an immense amount of time, and it would include philosophy and mathematics that is well beyond the average viewer.
The average viewer of your videos are nerds like me who are pointing out the inadequacies and inaccuracies and misrepresentations and decontextualizations of all the shit you're spewing here. I doubt that it would be well above our heads. I think what you've stated here is just a very well-worded way of actually saying, what you're about to hear is the extent that I thought this out in its entirety. But I just don't want you to know that. So I'm going to say that there's more to it than this simplistic bullshit that I'm going to throw up on the screen.
For this reason, keep in mind that what follows is an extremely shortened and simplified version of the explanation.
Called it.
And it's restricted to the two-dimensional plane. Its purpose is to give you an understanding of how it's possible for the soul to exist and why it necessarily exists in the specific way that it does.
What? Now it's a fucking possibility? At the start of the video, you said it was an absolute. Make up your mind.
Remember that we use the word mind and soul interchangeably.
Then why the fucking fuck do you need to use two different terms for the same idea?
They're the same concept.
And they require two different terms as to why. Using two separate terms implies they're two separate ideas. If they're not, fuck off the other term, mind or soul. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You don't even understand language.
As we've shown in other videos, the mind,
Haven't shown.
the soul, is a completely mathematical entity defined by Euler's formula.
Euler. I don't want to turn into Ben Stein and Ferris Euler's day off, but his name is Euler. Leonard Euler, not Leonard Euler. Euler. Where the fuck do you get this pronunciation, dipshit? Oh, and you misuse the fuck out of this fucking formula all the time. Euler's formula is only for explaining the fucking... oh my god. Let me read it to you from here, okay? It's only for explaining the relationship between trigonometrical functions and fucking a complex exponential function. Okay, and yes, I had to refer to Wikipedia because that is a little much to remember offhand. especially considering that though I do study math, it's mostly to get better at it because it's kind of a confusing thing for me, but I do take the effort to try to be better at it. So, but in the way that you're using it, for fuck's sake, it's a differential equation. You're trying to use this to prove the soul exists? Well, how? It's like you watched John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness one day and said, oh, wow, maybe I should make up some bullshit like they did in that movie and people will buy it.
We will not.
What really sucks, too, because that's actually one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, regardless of the fact that it's one of the most underrated movies he ever made.
I'll show why this is true.
Why don't you just do that from the start instead of wasting my time for the first minute and 43 of this video?
Begin with the principle of sufficient reason.
I love this. I'm going to let him fucking talk about this in its fucking entirety, and then I'm going to tell you why he's fucking totally misusing it.
Which states, for everything that exists, there exists a sufficient reason why it is thus and not otherwise. In other words, for everything that exists, there's a reason why it exists that way. You can't have anything that happens for no reason at all. Ultimately,
until you're getting down to quantum physics.
Everything must have a reason, even if that reason is immensely complicated. For example, if you found a ball on the floor, there exists a reason why there is a ball in that particular place. Maybe a kid put it there, or a dog dropped it, whatever the case may be.
This is all functioning, by the way, on classical mechanics, not quantum mechanics.
There's some reason why it's there and not somewhere else. It didn't just miraculously appear there without any reason at all.
And that throws the entire idea of Schrodinger's cat completely out the window, so thanks for defenestrating more quantum theory, but continue.
Everything in reality has a reason for why it is the way it is.
Presumably, but that still remains to be seen because of the whole, quantum world anyway.
We are going to refer to the principle of sufficient reason as the PSR for short. Now, you use the PSR constantly without realizing it. Anytime you try to think of a reason for something...
By the way, this is where it gets really fucking stupid, so just keep your ears open. Don't worry. Oh, boy. Clench your buttholes, too, if you can. I'm kidding. Not really.
You're using the PSR, which...
Where am I?
States that everything has a reason. If you try to think of a reason that the PSR is wrong, you're trying to find a reason why the PSR is wrong, which is to use the PSR, which states that everything has a reason. So you can't try to think of a reason why the PSR is wrong without using the PSR in the process and thereby affirming its validity.
Okay, this is exactly why this is fucking stupid right here. The principle of sufficient reason is not an unimpeachable scientific law, although he's trying to make it sound like it is. It's a fucking philosophical concept that was first pioneered back in like fucking Archimedes or Plato's day, and in its modern form was put together by a fucking French philosopher known as Lepez. First name I'm not going to try to pronounce because, to be honest, I don't pronounce French names or French words in general very well, and I'd rather not slaughter the guy's legacy with my horrible skills in French. And what I think is amazing is that he's using such a misrepresentation to try to make his theory here unimpeachable. You're saying that, well, since I employed the principle of sufficient reason, what I'm saying is completely unimpeachable. There. You have no more argument. I have plenty of argument. Why do you need to decontextualize philosophy as scientific law? You made this all put together in a way that makes it sound like something it's not. Here's something even more amazing, and this is from Wikipedia, because this is a little bit to remember offhand. It is an open question whether the principle of sufficient reason can be applied to axioms within a logic construction like a mathematical or physical theory. So physics. Because axioms are propositions accepted as having no justification possible within the system. The PSR can't even be fucking used for what you're trying to apply it to. I'm sorry, I almost like went into a coma.
Anyone who tries to give reasons why the PSR is wrong is absurd.
No, they're just pointing out that you're misconstruing what it is.
As this is a self-defeating act.
Mm-hmm.
This shows that they have absolutely no understanding of what the PSR is.
Even though I have a fucking tab of Wikipedia that describes exactly what the fucking fuck it is up, and I mispronounced the guy's last name entirely. Leibniz. Let me just slaughter this poor fucker's name. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Who also, I'm a fucking idiot too, because he was German. Anyway, shut up. But regardless, I have an entire tab in Wikipedia of it open right here that tells me exactly what the fuck it is. But because I'm pointing out the fact that you're misusing it for your own purposes, I have no understanding about what I'm talking about. Oh, fuck yourself.
Because as soon as someone tries to give a reason that it's wrong, they're actually using it. Furthermore, if the PSR were false, any reasons used to...
This is nothing but circular logic then, so your system functions on circular logic? How can you prove anything is true then?
Show that it was false would automatically be false themselves, since their coherency and their truth value depends on the PSR being true. And if you say...
So it depends on it being true, but then you say that with the inclusion of the possibility that it might not be.
State that the PSR is wrong, you're saying that things can have no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, they can. And the entire world of quantum physics is proof that things can just pop into existence seemingly at random because it's been fucking observed. It's been observed. We've seen tachyons, quarks, and bosons pop into our fucking three-dimensional spatial fucking reality out of nowhere. We don't know where they come from. Then they pop out. And we don't know where they go. Where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Quantum I Joe. Now that song's stuck in your fucking head. I mean, like, what fucking century are you living in? Like, you're just spouting bullshit hoping that people take it at face value. And then when they fucking know even, like, one or two things about this and they can throw it just completely down the drain. Oh, you're not saying it right, okay? You know what? You know, I employ this philosophical principle. Okay, which means that you can't, you can't, okay? What the fuck?
And if that's your position, you're literally insane. And
says the guy scamming teenagers out of their money on YouTube.
There's no point in having a conversation with you because you've literally rejected reason.
That's fucking rich. That's fucking rich. So, circular reasoning for the first 4 minutes of this video. And if you question the circular reasoning, you're insane and you reject reason.
We all have to agree that things have a reason for their existence in order to be able to have a rational discussion. If we don't start there...
Nobody's debating that. But the fact remains, you've completely misused what this is, okay? And you're using it as a way to vet the result of whatever you're going to get to here as something that's unimpeachable. Well, I proved it, therefore it can never be unimproved. What? No. 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 Creationists use this sort of argumentation to... What you're creating is a fucking unfalsifiable hypothesis, okay? You're in the makings of creating an unfalsifiable hypothesis. Creationists use this shit all the time to justify the existence of a god. Alright? Oh my god.
It's no longer a rational discussion, and it's just insane nonsense.
Well, that's kind of an ironic statement coming from a person whose entire YouTube videos tab is full of insane nonsense. What have you proven in any of these videos? You just state that you've proven something with no proof. Leprechauns exist. I mean, I'm not gonna fucking show you a fucking leprechaun. You just have to take my word for it. You know what? If I had a whiteboard, I would just put up some bullshit like algebraic equation that would make no logical sense and say it's because of this formula that I pulled out of my ass. Leprechauns exist. But you're not going to see one, so go fuck yourself and give me your money. Fuck off. Get out of here. What are you doing on YouTube? Go back to being an illusionist. Actually, I actually looked up on his Facebook. You go back to having, because somebody had commented on my previous video about this when he was on television still. People were wondering why he's got really such a distant personality on that show, and they were wondering, are you like agoraphobic? And they weren't even being rude about it. They were actually just like, dude, it's okay if you are. We were just curious. And he would flip out like an edgelord and tell them to like kill themselves and shit. I'm like, why don't you go back to having mental breakdowns on Facebook? It's worth the lulz. He had to admit he has like antisocial personality disorder, which I believe is like, narcissism or what, isn't that what they classify sociopathy is antisocial personality disorder? Jesus. Go back to having mental breakdowns. Like, it's fun to watch. Today, and on this episode of Steve Riles Up Cultists. Oh, God.
We begin with the principle of sufficient reason. It's really simple. It's reason itself. Everything that exists must have a reason why it is the way it is, instead of it being a different way.
What? Okay. So there's no room for differentiation then. So what we've observed so far scientifically is that is it, and there can be nothing less or more to it. What?
Now keep this in mind, as we'll show that the soul exists necessarily by the PSR. Euler's formula.
The fuck are you talking about, you nut? The fuck are you talking about? It exists necessarily because of the existence of an ancient philosophical theorem.
Is the governing equation for the soul. Now take a look at its graph.
And how do you come up with that? Show your work, fuckhead. How? You can't just state something extraordinarily profound like that and just leave it at that.
Euler's formula describes a point...
I'm just going to put up with him mispronouncing this guy's name.
...traveling in this circular trajectory. As this flowing point travels around the circle, its position takes on different values. Now, a soul is not just one flowing point, but instead, it's a collection of all possible flowing points.
And how did you come to that fucking conclusion? A scientific theory doesn't make any sense when they're just random facts thrown into it with no explainable reason. Your fucking reasoning right here goes against your whole sufficient reason shit. Give me a reason why a soul should exist as a collection of all flowing points. Give me a fucking reason. You're so fucking big on reason.
And hence, every point has its opposite. The average across a flowing point's trajectory is exactly 0.
So fucking what?
The same is true for any other flowing point, no matter the frequency with which it's associated.
And this is fucking basic fucking wavelength fucking frequency. Did you learn about this kind of fucking shit all the time when you study electrical engineering? Okay? Electronic fucking circuits work on the same principle.
Soul is a collection of every possible flowing point.
And how do you come to this fucking conclusion? You can't just throw that out there with no explanation.
Hence every possible frequency. And the total result of all these points taken together results in net 0.
That means nothing. And I don't mean that net 0 is nothing. It is nothing, but meaning-wise, that means nothing. Something with a wavelength of 0 is just a flat line. You know what sine waves are? You know what cosine waves are? Do you know what any of this is? Something with a flow wavelength of 0 is just, it's nothing. It's a medium that can't carry anything. Are you retarded? You're retarded. The man is a retard.
A soul is defined by perfect zero.
Well, what other state is zero going to fucking exist in? Imperfect zero? No. Zero is the fucking central point between all numbers positive and fucking negative. What other state can it fucking exist in?
At any location on its trajectory, a flowing point has a specific value, but the average across every location on its trajectory is zero. These flowing points necessarily generate sine and cosine waves, so a soul is a complete collection of sine and cosine waves of every possible frequency. And
then how the hell do you make that fucking leap? Because a soul would have to resonate some sort of fucking frequency itself in order to fucking collect all of these waves, you fuck. So, and not only that, these are the kind of waves that fucking cell phone towers belch out when they're trying to give a fucking signal to your phone and back and forth between the uplink and down. So what, are human beings made up of every collection of all waves of any wavelength ever? That doesn't make fucking sense. There's no sense in that. You're just spouting random shit that makes no sense. Because there's no science behind it. Because frankly, you don't know anything about anything you're talking about. Do you? This hurts my head. I used to work as an electrician for a while. And a lot of this math that he's throwing up on the fucking screen, I had to deal with quite a bit. And admittedly, it is confusing, even to somebody who worked in it for a while, or worked with it a lot for a while, but still, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it's fucking obvious.
Every flowing point for every wave, the total result nets out to zero. A soul is a collection of every possible flowing point, and the total result of all these points taken together results in zero.
So a soul is made of nothing. So then it doesn't exist, because it's nothing.
A soul is defined by perfect zero. This is a completely rational, mathematical definition of the soul. It's a collection of all possible flowing points following the circular trajectory
of your logic.
Defined by Euler's formula.
Yeah, funny that you use a fucking circular planar fucking theorem right there to describe the nature of the soul when it can also be used to describe the trajectory of your logic.
Generating all possible frequencies. The mind, the soul, is a net zero. It contains all possible frequencies, yet is zero in total.
Okay, then what the fuck is with all the goddamn electrical and chemical interactions in our brain that literally make up the neurological infrastructure of our minds? What? What is that? All just bullshit? Is that all just biology that's just happenstance? It's not really what's going on? That doesn't make any sense. Nothing you're saying makes sense, and it's not because it's too profound for me. It's because there's no sense behind it. It's all just shit that you threw together and threw up at the screen. Fuck off. Good Lord.
It's a frequency singularity, a self-contained, autonomous, eternal Fourier frequency domain.
What the fuck is any of that shit? Oh my god. So it's a net zero. It's a singularity made of zero. If it's made of nothing, it can't be a singularity because a singularity is a composition of something. You can't have a singularity that is a composition of nothing because then it's not a singularity. You're a fucking idiot. Holy fuck, are you a retard?
The mind, the soul,
are two things that you're clearly in need of repair.
Is zero. Keeping this in mind, let's return to the principle of sufficient reason.
Yeah. Okay, let's misuse it some more.
By the PSR, everything that exists...
I wonder what happens if somebody sends one of those idiots' videos to like Gary or fucking Piro. Oh, good
must
God.
have sufficient reason for why it exists in the way that it does. The PSR also states that if something has a sufficient reason for its existence...
You didn't provide a sufficient reason for this to exist. You just threw a bunch of shit at the wall and ran with whatever in your mind stuck well enough. You haven't provided me with a reason to believe that there's a fucking rationality or sensibility behind anything you just fucking said. Because there isn't. A Fourier frequency domain. What the fuck is that? What? I used to deal with these kind of things all the fucking time, working as an electrician for a small bit, for about 5 fucking years. I used to deal with mathematics like this all the fucking time. Used to have to deal with wavelengths. I used to have to deal with fucking sine and cosine to make sure that electrical fucking impulses were moving down their fucking grid properly. For fuck's sake, you stupid asswipe. This is all stuff that I know a little bit about, and to be honest, you're applying it in a way that can't be fucking applicable because you're just throwing it all around in a big fucking blender of bullshit hoping that it makes sense. It doesn't make sense no matter how you fucking look at it. What the fuck are you talking about? And it's not because it's over my head, it's because it makes no fucking sense.
And there is no sufficient reason preventing it from existing, then it must exist.
Oh, for God's sake, what the fuck is that logic? What the fuck is that? Okay, so I guess the fucking tooth fairy's fucking real because there's not a sufficient enough reason for it not to exist other than the fact that there's a ton of sufficient reason for it not to exist because there's no logical reason why the fuck a goddamn fairy should come into your bedroom every night you lose a fucking tooth and reimburse you with whatever the currency of the country you're living in is. Fuck you. This is so stupid. Well, you know what? I can't prove that it's true, but I can't prove that it's not true. Unfalsifiable hypothesis. Unfalsifiable hypothesis. Unfalsifiable hypothesis. You stupid fuck. You literally are a fucking religious nut. But it's just not for Christianity or fucking Buddhism or Islam or anything else out there. You're a religious nut for your own bullshit. This makes no fucking sense. Well, I can't disprove it. I threw a bunch of shit out there. You can't really prove that it's not true. So, by my misuse of this philosophical theorem, I guess it just has to be. Because there's no way that it can't be. Yeah, okay. I guess we can apply the same logic to Santa Claus and shit, too. Or any Christian religion of your choice. You use the same argumentation.
The reason that it's possible for zero to exist in the way that it does is because...
It exists! Who the fuck was debating that zero didn't exist? Well, you know, I postulate that zero doesn't exist. Kenneth, zero exists. You fucking bellend. It's right there. You see, the calculator, when you turn the son of a bitch on, his bloody cunt has zero right there. Yes, but I postulate that it doesn't really exist. You might not be seeing it. You know what you need to do? You need to lay off the Beefeater and Jameson. Because seriously, I think it's replaced your blood. Seriously, who the fuck is debating that zero doesn't exist?
It is perfectly nothing. Thus, zero, as we have just defined it, can and must exist because it doesn't need anything to exist.
What the fuck is this wordplay now? Okay, so first, the soul was an absolute, solid construct that existed absolutely, black and white, there was no debate. Then it transmogrified into being a possibility, and now we've moved completely away from the soul, and it's completely transmogrified into just zero? I mean, did you really expect me not to catch this? Really? Come on. You're making my hair stringier. I refuse to wash my stringy hair.
It has a sufficient reason for its existence, and there is no sufficient reason to prevent its existence.
Well, that may be, but that doesn't prove a soul exists. You haven't proven a fucking thing other than zero exists, which isn't something anybody was debating ever.
Zero is perfectly nothing, and therefore nothing can stop it from existing.
So, what's your point?
Because it is nothing. It's zero. Since a soul is perfectly zero,
You haven't proven that. You just said that. You didn't actually prove that.
that means that nothing can stop it from existing, and therefore it must exist. It has always existed and will always exist.
Let's apply the same dumbass logic to something innocuous like I just fucking mentioned, like Santa Claus. Oh, because Santa Claus exists as a cultural concept in many different countries all throughout the world, especially the United States, Europe, and apparently the Japanese have their version of Santa, which is literally called Annual Break-In Man. I'm pretty sure that's a joke, by the way. But, you know, so because there's a sufficient reason to believe that he exists in the sense that he existed as a cultural concept in many different countries, there's not enough reason to believe that he doesn't exist because no one's never not seen him. Like, dude, you're creating a vortex of bullshit logic. Okay? When applied to anything else, you're creating a vortex of stupid logic.
You cannot prevent nothing from having existence. It's eternal void.
So a soul is a void, okay? Then what's the fucking purpose? Soul is nothing but redundance?
Principle of sufficient reason, zero, nothingness, is the only thing that can possibly and must exist.
You know, for someone with antisocial personality disorder, it really doesn't surprise me that you believe the soul is comprised of nothingness. It really doesn't surprise me at all, since you have a disorder mentally that causes you to have a soul devoid of anything and is full of nothingness yourself. Ugh.
Nothing else is possible because it would require something to get it going. A soul itself is necessary, uncreated, eternal, and indestructible, as it's defined by perfect zero.
What?
Furthermore, if 1 0 is possible, then of course there's nothing to prevent more than 1 0 from existing. Therefore, a multitude of zeros are possible.
What in the fuck are you talking about? Did you just learn this yesterday? How do you think you get multiples of 10? Multiples of 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, 1,000,000,000,000. Like, decimal percentages. Like, did somebody hit you in the fucking head with a brick when you were a kid? And it's like all the knowledge that everybody retains by the time they're like 13 is now just hitting you in some big drug-addled epiphany? Like I said in the beginning of this video, if it wasn't for the fact that you accept money for this, I would be willing to believe that this is a giant troll project. But you manipulate people for their money, and that throws the idea of you being just a satirist completely out of the window. You're a scumfuck, a total scumfuck, a great word player, but man, are you full of horse shit.
This is how we arrive at a multiplicity of zeros, an infinity of souls, by the PSR.
So it's an infinity of souls, even though people have all agreed across the board, regardless if they're fucking atheistic or not, when they entertain the idea for the sake of argument that a human being has to be present for a soul to be necessitated. Otherwise, it's just a fucking redundant fucking being of existence that has no reason to be because it has no life to go drive forward or whatever the fucking supernatural concept is really all about. Okay. So it's just an infinity of individual unique consciousness that exists for what reason then? I mean, redundant ought to be the title of your video here. Because all of these concepts you're spewing out just become extremely redundant.
Zero can and must exist.
Nobody debated that.
Souls are zero.
You haven't proven that.
Therefore, souls can and must exist.
No, they don't have to, because you've proven absolutely goddamn nothing.
We have shown that by the principle...
You haven't shown anything.
...sufficient reason that zero can and must exist, and that a...
The oranges exist. The apples exist. You should try comparing them.
...soul as a collection of all possible flowing points following the Eulerian trajectory we define.
What the fuck is Eulerian? Eulerian trajectory. The Eulerian Where are you from? I am from planet Hoileria. Is that where you're from? Or are you from Hyperia?
Is zero. Philosophers have asked why there is something rather than nothing. In fact, there is something purely because, mathematically, something is also nothing.
So, we're back to the circular logic shit again.
If this weren't true, the universe could not exist.
What?
There is a sufficient reason why a non-zero cannot exist.
Here, answer me this then, fuckhead. What is the reason for the universe's existence? Why does it exist? Throw some bullshit math up on a chalkboard and then explain to me why the universe came into being. Why did consciousness develop? Why do human beings have self-reflective intelligence? Why the fuck are we the only fucking creature on the planet that, in a state of intellect, in a state of psychology, are what we are? Answer me these questions, genius. Here's a tip. You can't. Why are we the only thing on the face of this fucking planet that function the way that we do? Well, the Eulerian flush. Hold on, I gotta get my makeup on. It's where all my brains come from. I gotta give Alice Cooper a run for his money. I gotta go back to Hot Topic. They got a sale on Frosty White Manic Panic. Even though it doesn't look like he dyes his hair white, but his hair looks completely fucking fried. Like he was dumb enough to just keep bleaching it white like this, and I wonder he's going bald. If by that statement you couldn't tell, I've dyed my hair quite a bit over the course of my life. That's why it's brownish, orange, fucking weird color. Like I'm Danny Cook, you know, what's his name's friend from Terminator 2 in the beginning, or Salute Your Shorts if you're an ancient fucking dinosaur like me.
Because it requires something. A zero universe does not. Nothing can prevent nothing from existence precisely because nothing requires nothing.
Okay, so you're saying that anything in any fucking goddamn stupid, unbelievable stretch of the imagination can exist because there's not a sufficient enough reason for it not to exist. Tooth fairies. Santa Claus. I guess it's the plural of Santa Claus. Which actually really sounds scary. Oh my god! Look at a herd of Santa Claus! Run!
To make
Easter Bunny.
a non-zero universe.
That said, this guy refers to himself in the third person in some videos like he's an alien, so I wouldn't be too surprised that he's employing this logic to suggest that, you know, the other life in the universe is nothing but a bunch of completely stunted in math edgelords. I don't know. I mean, I would be willing to accept that. I mean, he kind of does look like Observer from Mystery Science Theater 3000. But that said, Bill Corbett is a lot cooler than you and way funnier and was a hell of a nice person to meet in person. If I ever meet you again, I'm definitely going to try to get a better picture with you. Met him at Dragon Con last year. It was an awesome son of a bitch. He did the voice of Crow T. Robot in the later seasons of Mystery Science Theater, and he dressed up as a character kind of like this guy in the show. He was like an super intellect consciousness that didn't require a body but still had a brain to carry the consciousness around, so he carried the brain around in a fucking like salad bowl all the time because that was the only piece of his physical existence that was left. So he'd just carry his brain around and he'd be like retarded if he left his brain too far away from his body. Like the brain Wi-Fi would get too weak.
You would need to create net positive energy out of nothing.
So positive numbers don't exist.
And this is a violation of the law of conservation of energy and a logical impossibility by the PSR.
No, it's not. There's fucking all the time what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, positive energy can exist. Okay, energy conserved can exist in a positive fucking state. And it can exist in a negative state. You want to know why? Do I have anything with batteries in it? Oh, yeah, exactly. Right the fuck here. Let me just take this fucking battery out of the bottom of this. It's one of the reasons why you have a positive, okay, and negative polarity in a battery, and it can retain that fucking energy, idiot. You can have electrical energies, any other types of energies exist in positive and negative states and retain their fucking conductivity and their conservation of energy. What the fuck are you talking about? We've observed all kinds of weird things in science anyway. I mean, for God's sake, this is one of the fucking reasons why you have pools of lithium all over the fucking planet, and we mine the shit out of them all the time because lithium can store electrical conductivity. What do you think your cell phone battery is full of? And don't try to take it in case you have depression. It's not the right kind of lithium. You'll just kill yourself. But anyway.
You might be wondering, what about other types of zeros? That is, why a zero that's a collection of flowing points as we've just defined it?
You haven't defined it. You haven't defined shit. You haven't proven anything.
This is an excellent question. Not just any zero is possible, but only zeros that do not violate the PSR.
That you're using for your own purposes, therefore it has no fucking validity whatsoever.
So let's say that you had a zero that did not contain a collection of flowing points. Would this zero be possible? Yes, it would, but since it's empty instead of full, it has no effect.
What the fuck? Okay, so then what is your definition of an empty zero and a full zero?
It's total non-existence. It doesn't do anything, so
much like what you're saying here is not doing anything and proving anything.
It's completely meaningless and non-existence.
Cool, like your fucking logic.
Similarly, if you had a zero full of unmoving, static, still points,
which is what a fucking point of a flowing point that's made of nothing but net zero would be. It's just static. It's not flowing anywhere.
Nothing would ever happen.
Which is exactly why your whole theory is bullshit.
So it has absolutely no effect whatsoever. Only zero that is full of points in motion is life. These flowing points are the pulse of reality. Without them, or if they were unmoving, life could not exist, and everything would be a total dark room where nothing would ever happen.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, so it was nothing but flowing points netting out to absolute zero that caused the cosmos to explode into a fucking existence for whatever reason and whatever chain of events caused this to fucking happen, to only fucking flourish over the course of billions of years with life all over fucking planets like ours that are the perfect distance away from their sun in the habitable zone. It was all just flowing points that equated to zero. It had nothing to do with fucking biology, geology, the entire fucking spectrum of what is required to create life. Life just existed because numbers. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
Zero as a container of flowing points defined by Euler's formula, which is necessarily possible by the principle of sufficient reason since it nets out to zero, is the
way that you're using it.
Only arrangement that is both possible and living. Another question you might have is why Euler's formula? Why not some other formula or trajectory? Euler's formula and the circle it defines is the only one possible by the PSR.
Which you can also use all the time to also net out cartographic things. Basically, you can also use it for plotting on maps. So what does that mean? The world is a fucking, the universe itself is just a big fucking cartographer's paradise.
Now first we have to be clear that the circle we're talking about doesn't take up any physical space. It's not in space and time.
Well, then how the fuck can it be measured?
It exists purely as mathematical information.
What the fuck does that mean? Mathematical information in and of itself has no fucking physicality anyway, so that doesn't mean anything.
Have trouble understanding what that means? Imagine it like computer code. You can have computer code that describes a circle.
You can't have computer code that fucking exists without a computer, idiot. There has to be some sort of fucking medium for this computer code to sit in. There's another thing I'm fucking knowledgeable about is computing, technology, programming. For fuck's sake, what the fuck are you talking? You can't...
but that does not form a physical circle. So when we're speaking about Euler's formula...
Then what would be the point of the code? Why write a fucking... Why write a fucking subroutine for your computer like that doesn't fucking have any reason to exist? Well, how fucking stupidly redundant would that be? There would be no reason to do that. Thus, there's no reason for anything you're saying to happen. You're so big on reason, you use an example of something completely fucking redundant.
Flowing points and Euler circles, this has nothing to do with physicality. This is pure mind, pure thought. It's pure mathematical structure.
So what, are we all living in a big fucking computer and all of this fucking math you're talking about is the literal computer code that make up everything? Alright, Neo. Your fucking model of the universe is absolutely fucking absurd. That's not how things work. Number information, mathematical information in and of itself has no intrinsic physicality or fucking worth or value or anything. Mathematics are intrinsically a human excrescence. We fucking made it up. We fucking created math. So far, we've been able to accurately utilize it to model various things within science, within extremely advanced exponential formulas and differential formulas, based on the model for mathematics that we created. However, because there is such an intrinsic human fucking invention, there's the possibility that we misinterpreted how to utilize certain types of math, and a lot of the formulaic equations that we fucking have potentially are wrong. But we've managed to make them work out pretty well so far. So until we find some way of proving that we're substantially wrong, and I don't mean dumb shit like 2 and 2 is 4 is wrong. No, I don't mean that. I mean on the advanced level this guy's talking about. Until somebody comes down a bike and says we're wrong, well, then that kind of blows your shit right out of the fucking water, does it not? Science is ever fucking changing. When will you swallow that fucking reality?
So, why this particular shape and formula? Remember that everything...
Because you don't understand any other?
...must be compatible with the PSR. This means...
that you're using for your own purposes.
There is no room for any random, sudden, discontinuous, arbitrary changes, as there would be no sufficient reason for this.
What the fuck are you talking about? The universe fucking changes all the goddamn time. You're saying the entire structure of the universe is a constant based on a stupid mathematical formula that you're fucking misusing. What the fuck are you talking about? There are black holes that exist in our universe we've observed forming out of fucking nowhere. They don't require the collapse of a white dwarf star to just happen. That was a big revelation to science. The fuck are you talking about? In fact, within our fucking universe, I believe, is it within our galaxy? But we have observed, I don't know if it's within our particular galaxy, but we have observed in the center of a galaxy an entire splotch, thousands, millions of light years, meaning it would take millions of years traveling the speed of light across of nothing. Absolutely vast motherfucking nothing that just appeared for no logical reason. Explain that. Net zero. That was attractive. But still, explain that. You're just misusing the principle of sufficient reason to bend your idea to being fucking perfect and unimpeachable, saying, well, if you're questioning it, then you're automatically wrong and you're absurd. Because I employed this really fucking stupid vetting tactic. Fuck off.
This would be like a miracle, something happening for no reason. Everything must be continuous and consistent.
Even though the creation of the fucking universe itself was not consistent. It was just chaotic. Completely. It took hundreds of millions of years before that chaos settled down into something where just forms of energy were coalescing and starting to turn into different matters and different materials. The fucking building blocks of what it is that we're all in right now. The fuck, man? For somebody that talks about stuff like this, I shouldn't have to explain this shit to you.
So, for example, this rules out a square since there would be no sufficient reason for the flowing point to suddenly change its trajectory. A straight line is ruled.
Why? Have you ever seen a lightning bolt motherfucking strike the ground? Ass fuck. It doesn't make a fucking circle in the air, you stupid fuck. It makes hard fucking static fucking 90-degree angle shapes all over the place as the static electric charge fucking reaches out for anything to make a fucking ground with. You fuck. You fuck. You fuck.
Out because this privileges the first point. A circle
check your privilege.
Privileges no points as every point is equidistant from the center. The only trajectory that is continuous with no jumps, where no location is privileged over the other, is the circle. Finally, a question that some very astute viewers may wonder is, why the Euler circle? Why not a regular real numbered equivalent? That is, one without imaginary numbers.
I will admit it's good for you to include this because kind of scratching my head about it without... Okay, there, an actual head scratch. The entire fucking time.
Reality must be complete, consistent, and stable under any...
Until you hit the quantum level.
...valid transformations. It must always be equal to zero, and it cannot contain any kind of errors or flaws whatsoever.
Yeah, sure. So the existence of our universe was basically nothing more, as far as science has been able to tell, a fucking glitch that just happened that exploded everything that is into being, okay? And that's supposed to be something that's based on a consistent logical system. Well, if that's the case, then all our system, all our universe is built on nothing but repetition because this is an event that repeats itself. So what, does the universe expand to a point where it gets so fucking big that it inevitably collapses in on itself? And during that collapse, once it hits the final last piece, the expansion of energy from that collapse is so much that it just poots a new universe into being again? Maybe that is nothingness, because if it's nothing more than repetition and cyclical fucking action like that, everything is useless and boring and nothingness.
If it did, reality would collapse and it couldn't exist. If we took a regular circle and squared it, meaning if we squared every point on the circle, all of the negative numbers would turn positive, because the square of a negative number is a positive number, and half of existence would be wiped out.
How?
This shows that
How does that make any sense? Okay, how are you attributing this? You're just... Whatever.
Real numbered regular circle
Whatever.
contains a major flaw, and a reality like that could never exist. It would be like a computer program that
Oh, have you seen every reality that there is? Have you? Have you traversed the universe eye out there? Have you traversed the multiverse? And you can say with an empirical certainty that universes like this just don't exist? Fuck off.
That could never exist. It would be like a computer program that has a fatal error in the code, and so it crashes. Since the circle generated by Euler's formula...
But our goddamn universe is not built on fucking flimsy human computer code. We've barely begun to understand really what the fuck the fabric of our goddamn universe is made of. Jesus.
Resides in the complex plane. It remains stable under such a transformation, since the square roots of negative numbers are imaginary, and the square roots of imaginary numbers are complex.
Who else is saying this? Let me Google this really quick. If I knock over the microphone, my apologies. Square roots. Let's see. Square roots of negative numbers imaginary. It's hard to type with my arms over like this. Jesus, harder than it should be. And yes, I use a mechanical keyboard because why aren't you using one? The imaginary number, I, is the square root of -1. An imaginary number possesses the unique property that when squared, the result is negative. And that was from a website that's using a 6th grader's math notebook, apparently.
and the complex plane contains all such numbers. It's like the perfect computer code that contains no errors or flaws and can never crash no matter what.
Yeah, but that being said, the expanse of our universe has been postulated to eventually cause the universe to completely collapse within itself, and as I said just a moment ago, the collapse of the universe would cause such a goddamn expanse of energy that it would fucking boot the Big Bang. So it kind of throws your theory right out the fucking window. If the universe can never fail, then why is it postulatable that its existence in its current form was the result of a failure?
Reiterate, souls, minds exist because they are perfectly compatible with the principle of...
Nobody's doubting the mind exists. I'm using mine right now to say that you're full of shit.
...sufficient reason. Their existence is necessary. It would be impossible for them not to exist. Only a complete, consistent, eternal, indestructible system guided by Euler's formula...
Euler's.
...whose net result is equal to zero...
Why do you keep sucking this guy's dick so hard? Yeah. Is he still alive? Because he might need to file a restraining order on you.
...at all times is compatible with the principle of sufficient reason. The particular arrangement of a soul's internal mathematical patterns can vary as long as they always net out to zero and never violate the PSR.
And as the black swan theory goes, as far as we've always observed, swans are white, and until a black swan comes along, we have to rephrase our whole idea of, okay, well, why the fuck did this happen? And I guess all swans don't have to be white because there is that once-in-a-million outlier. That said, you can apply the same thing here, and it totally nukes your theory into a million pieces.
This is how diversity is possible. Reality is composed...
So it's not diversity, then. It's all just fucking predisposed sameness. That's not diverse. If it's all based on the same fucking base equation, then it's not diversity whatsoever. Fuck.
...of nothing but sine and cosine waves, and a flowing point traveling in an Eulerian trajectory.
Eulerian. Who the fuck uses... I've never heard of that my whole life. An Eulerian trajectory. Yeah. I'm gonna have to program that into my fucking GPS. Take an Eulerian left and follow your Eulerian trajectory for the next 600 feet. Then make a right.
Generates a perfect sine and cosine. This is a reality of mind, of thought, and the interactions of the waves...
Morgue, we don't know what thoughts are made of. And you don't either. Because no one does. Stop it. Take your fruit snack, put the camera down, and get off the internet. We don't know what the fuck thoughts are made of.
With all of the other minds in existence is what gives rise to the domain of space-time. Space-time is not composed of matter. The idea of matter is an illusion.
Dude, there's always the fucking probability that time itself doesn't exist and is just another excrescence of human fucking invention. It's just something that's in also... Possibility is that it's also something that is intrinsically human. The fuck? The fuck?
Instead, space-time is composed of the mental energy interactions of all the minds in existence.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so the nature of the fabric of the universe. What is solipsistic shit is this, then? Oh, we're creating our own reality as it is. I mean, why don't you just fucking say it? You just think we live in the Matrix. I mean, you make so many allusions to this. You try to comparing the nature of the fabric of our universe to a computer program all the fucking time. Now you're saying that the human mind is creating the fabric of space-time. As if we're, like I say, solipsistic. We're just making our reality as I go, as I would be, like, for example, making my reality up as I go along, which is ridiculous. God, I mean, as far as absurdity goes, this is really taking the fucking cake.
You are a soul, a mind, a mathematical entity.
I'm a big, fleshy, ugly blob.
You are a system of pure mind that exists outside of space-time.
Baby, my mind is not pure. Mm-mm.
You're not your body. A mind simply...
Okay, what am I, a basketball? I'm not my body. Guys, I'm not my body. This is what I am. I'm a fucking soda can. I identify as a soda can. Fuck you and your fucking cis heteronormative motherfucking bullshit system. Because faggots, I identify as a fucking soda can. I didn't even finish this all the way, and I can't because it keeps hitting the fucking inside of the rim right there. And if I threw it, I would just get soda all over my wall. So there went that gag right out the window. But you know what, bitches? Coke can. Because I'm not my body. I'm not my body.
To directly interact within the domain of space-time.
I'm not my body. So if that's the fucking case, by the way, what the fuck is the use of the human body? If this is all fucking reality and this is all true, which it isn't because you haven't proven a single thing, what the fuck is the point of the human body? Why would a soul be something so indestructible and eternal and it requires a physical biological vessel? Why? What the fuck is the point of living 100 years or so, 80 to 100 years, in a fucking shitty, worn-out human body? What's the point? Why do we need to do that? Seems a little redundant. Oileria, Oileria, I give my love to thee.
We have shown you the soul using logic.
You haven't shown me shit. You haven't shown shit. You haven't proven shit. You haven't fucking done shit. Because you don't have shit to show. Except this shit show.
Logic, reason, and mathematics. There is no external God, as this is a violation of the PSR.
Oh, go fuck yourself. Your PSR shit is really getting fucking tiring. And you don't need an external God in your little bullshit because you function as an internal God because people have to accept this at face value or they're violating the holy PSR that you're using as a vetting tactic to make your fucking bullshit automatically true. Fuck off. And this is coming from somebody who rejected Christianity willingly, saying that this is ridiculous. You haven't disproven the existence of a God. You haven't proven the existence of a soul. All you've done is use the same tactics that creationists use to prove there is a God, and that's just create an unfalsifiable hypothesis. Fuck off. Fuck off.
As we'll show in further videos.
Oh, great.
You are a self-solving system of mathematics, and when your internal energy...
Is that true? Because my calculator seems pretty fucking broken, because if I'm supposed to be a self-solving set of problems, my problems haven't been solved. In fact, for the last 10 years in my life, a lot of these problems, really, I just ended up exacerbating, but I'm glad that I'm self-solving and had to resort to actually getting a lot of therapy to have somebody help me solve them, so it's not really self-help at that point. It's just help. As George Carlin said, you know, if you get self-help, then you didn't need help.
Patterns are optimized. You become a god. We...
Oh. Well, somebody opened a book on Luciferianism. How cute. We don't want you, by the way, just so you know.
We are the absolute. We are reality.
We are completely insane.
Hyperions are those that have become conscious of what they truly are.
Full of shit.
We are the opening eye of the universe.
Or its brown eye. You're what the universe expels every time it poots.
We are the voice of reality.
Really? Because you don't seem to be very, very faced in reality. You seem to be utterly fucking divorced from it.
Listen.
That was immature.
Ad astra.
I farted.
To the stars.
Or to the bathroom.
Make sure you like and subscribe and check out my Patreon for hidden videos.
This is funny. You had to just fucking shark that in real fucking quick. I'm not trying to make money off this, but give me money.
The Hyperion system is all about fulfilling your potential. It's not about sitting on your ass. So if you want freedom just to sit on your ass and look at Facebook memes all day, then the Hyperion system is not for you.
But then what the fuck are you doing, you dumb, stupid fuck? You're sitting on your ass making up bullshit mathematics and fucking science, you ugly fucking chud. The fuck is your system supposed to prove? The fuck is it supposed to accomplish? It hasn't proven shit. Your whole fucking shit hasn't gotten anything across that seems even remotely rational. Your whole system doesn't have shit. It doesn't make sense. And not because it's too fucking much for my feeble mind. It's because it doesn't make sense. Fuck off! This is just a money-making opportunity for you, dude. And it's really fucked that you target this shit specifically for the people you target it to. You're just trying to justify all the bullshit you personally believe in your own fucking head. Fuck off. The internet needs less people like you. Definitely.
If you want freedom to build a new world where you can fulfill your potential and have the time and opportunity and resources to learn, explore, and grow.
What the fuck are you talking about? Just somebody out there, please. I want to do a video response to that fucking video. I want to do a fucking video response to that video. So anybody out there, if it's like $2 or $3, I will see what I can do through PayPal to reimburse you. And I promise that I will do it. I promise that I will do it. You can hold me to my word. I will do it. I want to fucking respond to that fucking video. Oh my god. My nipples are hard at the idea of fucking responding to that. I know, you fucking can't get that image out of your head. What the fuck are you talking about? Build a new world and shit. Really? Well, what world do you want to live in? Exactly. A world where I can just shard out whatever the fuck comes to my mind. You pieces of shit, just buy it. And we can rapture all of these normies. Normal fags, get off my board.
Explore this reality, explore others.
We've been exploring our reality pretty sufficiently for like well over the last 1,000 years.
Explore your own mind and to become the best version of yourself that you can be.
That said, I can't really disagree with somebody saying be the best version of yourself, but the fucking way that you mean it is not the way that I mean it, and it's not the way that normal people mean it, so get the fuck out of here.
Then that is what a Hyperion system is, and that is what we're building.
No, you're building, not we. But you gotta make your organization sound bigger than what it is. Oh, god damn it, there are people that gave him money. I almost want to find these people and just reimburse them on Patreon. Or PayPal or some way like that. Set up a Patreon to fucking reimburse these people, and for no other reason. But I don't think that's how it works.
On Patreon have been absolutely amazing, and the community there is awesome. If you're not on there yet, make sure you check it out. It's because of you that I'm able to make these videos.
Yeah, it's also because it's of them you're able to pay your bills and everything else, right? Because to be honest, it's actually a big pile of shit that you make a lot of money being on TV. That's not really the truth.
A new world is right around the corner. Thank you for your support, my friend.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. You know what? It's also right around the corner. My balls. Please, fondle them for a new existence. I can say dumb shit, too. Actually don't. And if my balls were around the corner, I'd probably need to promptly reattach them.
Friends.
The soul equation. Does he have any new videos? I can't get enough of this guy. I can't get enough of this.
My name is Morgue.
No, it's probably something like Kenneth. Guys like you always have like the whitest, most basic names. I know, it's coming from a guy named Steve. Whatever. But regardless, wow, I just can't get enough of this guy. I can't. So where did he... Wow, he's been doing this for a while. Holy shit. Let's see, where did this bullshit start? So, okay, he's been doing this for quite a while. So for like the last 6 years, he's really been trying to shill this shit. I'm going to dig in on this guy. Because, you know, as somebody who went up against a particularly unbelievable fucking human piece of shit known as Onion Boy. Mindsets like these, they're all apples from the same poisonous tree. I mean, so usually when you go digging for dirt on people like this, to be honest with you, it just starts coming to the surface like a bunch of fucking ground worms, really. And, creating a new world. Fuck off. You're a fucking illusionist, for God's sake. So, I don't know. But like I said, if anybody can get me that video that he was doing where he's bitching about, we're going to create a new world, the one that he's talking about at the end of this video from his Patreon, I will reimburse you. I promise I will do that. And I will feature you, as in my video, the person that obtained it for me. Because, to be really honest, I'm worried that if I go on there, I'm going to have to somehow or another give this guy my fucking personal information, and I'm not too fucking savvy with Patreon. And I don't know how comfortable I am about this creep knowing, personal information and stuff like that. And I don't feel like, trying to fraudulently pay for anything on Patreon or anything like that. If you have an account there that doesn't link back to you in general, then I think it's just a better idea to do it that way. Or better yet, if anyone knows how I can obtain that without even having to go that route in particular, and I can just buy it for myself and nobody fucking has to worry, nobody knows where it goes back to, show me how to do it that way, and then I'll be more than happy to do it. Anyway, that's really all I got to say. Your bullshit system has proven nothing. You still haven't shown me the existence of the soul. You just showed me a bunch of unbelievably misinterpreted math and babbled about fucking nothing for 17 minutes in this damn near hour-long video. So, about damn near. It's over an hour. It's nearly an hour and 20. That's longer than my last one. So, yeah, fuck off. Until next time, I'm some guy on the internet. So are you. Rock the fuck on. Take it easy.